G'day fellas and welcome to Beyond All Reason. This is a casted game. I'm going to be doing it Beyond All Reason. This is a live game. I've got absolutely no idea how long it goes for, what happens, but it is featuring one of my favorite players to watch, one to study, and that is going to be Fruit here. He has got a build order that I have just been in love with recently. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't been using this build order a whole lot because I found it is quite all in, and it relies on your front. That's going to be a key factor here for him. So we're going to be watching along with him, see how he does from that all-important Geo spot. Now, let's introduce our team captains for the day. On the blue team, in the north of the map, playing on... Well, I've just... What has happened right here? My screen has just turned black, and look, at the end of the day, sometimes I'm playing Beyond All Reason and it does this, and I don't know why. It says display port, 3840 by 2160. Anyway, Seamaster here, he's going to be playing in the C position, as you would expect, from a guy with the name Seamaster, and for anybody wondering, I try to run the game in borderless. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. For some reason, it just doesn't work. And our team captain for the South is going to be Toxic Fruit. He's actually not very toxic. He's very friendly whenever I've spoken to him. Watch a fair bit of his game. So his strategy is to take 2 mexes at the beginning of the game, go for 4 wind turbines, and then throw down his bot lab. And he rushes out that first Lazarus so that he can get over to the pond immediately and start taking up these rocks before anybody else does. Seems a little bit selfish, right? But it makes sense because he's going to put that into his build. He then moves into 2 constructors. The first one comes out, builds a Mex, and then goes and builds the Geo, and the second one is just going to build the construction turret. He then boosts a couple more Lazarus out here, and we can see here, I suspect he's probably going to be paying or making a Lazarus and a Con for an ally, I would suspect, but he is going to be now moving out over onto these rocks as well. This is going to be one of the fastest T2s that is possible. And to be honest, he revolutionized the way I thought about this game, just simply because of the type of strategy that he goes for. It's a really interesting strategy. It relies on getting allies, T2s, very, very quickly, but it also puts him up to T2 super quickly as well. Now, it is weak. It's weak to any kind of aggression, whether that be hovers or raids. You can see that he's open. Sorry for that open right there, but he's quite open. And one thing to note is he's up against a very good player on the front here, up against I Will Conquer. So that means that he is going to have a difficult time here on the front, and I would expect he may need to help out here if he hasn't already communicated to his player on the front. So he's got his 3 lowest players here that are on the front here. Obviously got 2 good players on the C and 2 good players on the back as well. So you can see we got some chat in here. Fucking noob with his 11-minute APHIS, be like Drongo with 10-minute APHIS. Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, Timok lol. He's a funny player. I like playing against him. He's very predictable though, so I've started learning how to play against him and do quite well. But let's check in over with the team captains on the other side because he's playing in the C spot. Looks like he will go swimming today and has made it out here pretty early as well. 3 minutes. Didn't even take a Mex. Just comes out here, and we can see that the Destroyer is coming out early. So it looks like it's going to be this meta is quickly unfolding at the Destroyer meta on water, and this is a True Skill 38 versus a True Skill 37, so pretty, or actually, no, I take that back, yeah, no, I'm right, 37 versus 37. It's interesting how you've got the 39 and the 38 on one team, and then the 2 37s, but maybe they're partied or something like that. But we do indeed have our first boom. I'm just going to get rid of that because our spectators are drawing. So our first boom is coming down. He's obviously reclaimed the lab, and now we see him moving into this very fast T2. So this will be up in about 4 minutes. You can see the timing on this is really good. And what he's going to do is he's going to ask for metal. So he says, like, you know, if you want to pay for T2, you need to pay right now. And you can see it coming through a little bit of a struggle. And he's going to get these out to his allies really quickly. You can see that he has now run out of that metal. And if he hadn't asked for that metal from his allies, he'd be stalling out when building this first constructor. So he makes sure that this one is going to go over to his allies first. Send 200 more, he's saying, because, you know, you got to pay the full price, 430. It's not 230, mate. And we're not giving out freebies here. But towards the middle of the map, it looks like I Will Conquer is going. Look at this strategy from I Will Conquer. I've never seen this on the front line. Rushes a couple of guards and then goes for a 4 minute and 30-second agitator. Are you kidding me? I Will Conquer. He gets it up. The problem is this is so exposed to a D-gun. My lord, if I saw this, I just walk up and D-gun it. And I think that's what Bob High is going to do right now. I mean, this is just ludicrous. He's going to try for a D-gun. I mean, I'd just sack the comm at this point because this is such a massive investment. Looks to try and get the D-gun. Not going to be able to find it. There it does. Makes it through. This is such a huge loss already for I Will Conquer. And you can see the commander. Is he just giving up at this point? Look at the commander standing still there. 1% health on 45 health. He's got the con. He backs out. Now he's going to need to fall back. And he's got no lab. He's eating his... Oh, my gosh. Mid already lost. Yeah, what are you doing up there, I Will Conquer? That was a little bit bold. And that's going to give Fruit a massive opening here, because instead of that being converted into a huge win for that North team, it now all of a sudden becomes a massive win for the South team. So we can see Fruit going to be donating out those T2s here. He's looking to sell them off. Couple of low amounts of metal coming through. You can see a lot of solars here, and this is part of the reason why Bearded Code is having some trouble with the metal, because he's got so many solars. You want to reclaim these solars almost immediately after making them. On a map like this, where you've got a max wind of 19, it's not a good idea to have solars for too long. But now he will start reclaiming the lab, and he will begin going into the metal storage, and this is where the build starts to get a little bit crazy, because at this point, often people are looking at this and saying, okay, well, you know, maybe this Geo position needs to help out mid, but the reality is he needs to come online, and he's not online. Even though he's got his Geo up, he's not online. Until he gets all of his T2 mexes up, he's not online, and ideally he wants his Geo up as well. So he needs to reclaim this bot lab, because if he doesn't, he's not going to have any metal to come online. Otherwise, it's going to be a very slow transition, so we can watch and see now as he begins adding in nanos here. Ideally, you want to have your first construction bot helping out with, or your advanced construction bot helping out with these as well. So a little bit of an oversight here by Fruit, because it's a small little adaptation, but like 180 build power, it's basically another construction turret that you can have there. And sure, it's building the metal extractor, but ideally you want to make sure that that you've got your construction up first. All right, so he's got his Lazarus working away. Let's check in on that central location, because this is the most important part. We'll check in. It seems to be going well. Smig has done a pretty decent job with some lasers, and now it looks like I Will Conquer is moving into a couple of nanos here on the front to just pork it up a little bit. He's got a very interesting playstyle, I'll say that much, for somebody who's so good. And we can now see Armor is going to be moving out here. Armor going into T2 as well. This is something I always advise against. If you're going for a quick T2 on this second position, ideally you want to be the only person doing it. You want to be you want to make sure that your compatriot or your ally, so you want to think of these two guys working together. This guy goes T2, this one helps front. And by the same token over here, you know, you've got T2 over here, and then this one is helping front. But it looks like we've got it all over the shop at the moment. But so we're right on board now with Fruit. So he's a little bit late. Wind hasn't been the kindest to him this game, and he's slowly building everything back up. You can see he's got a really good number of nanos. Now, if there's one criticism that I would give to Fruit, it would be the following. He loves to build everything right next to his advanced Geo, which is crazy, because if you look at the range on this, everything within this radius is going boom, boom, bye-bye. And that's not a good idea. So he's going to ask for a constructor, normally from someone who's going vehicles. So he might say, hey, can I have a constructor? And you can see he's looking over here. He wants to just get a T1 constructor, because he wants to go into T2 vehicles here. Now, I advocate very strongly for just moving one of these constructors back, getting himself a little vehicle lab, and then immediately just going, because it's going to be really quick to reclaim. And you can see he's got plenty of resources here at the moment to go into that when he needs to. So he gets the T2 up. He'll be going into a very quick T2 metal converter here as well, or energy converter. Well, let's check back in on the front line. Everything is going well, so that Geo position still very happy at this point. But there is one thing to note. Hounds are out, and that's not our T2 Geo player on the other side, or our Geo player on the other side. That's just their Pond player who's got the Hounds out. So this is where you start to think about needing a response to this threat, because if you take a look from his perspective, front is now starting to get pushed in. We can see that there's 3 different colors up here, even though one of them is not really participating. But definitely at this point, you're going to need to address this soon, and that's exactly what he's looking to do now. So we can see he's going into the advanced vehicle plant, and this is where I'm in love with this, okay? After watching him do this the first time, I was like, this is just beautiful. If you can get to this point uncontested, it is just a thing of beauty right now. So ideally what he wants to be doing is just looking to reclaim a fair bit of these nanos. I think he's probably got a few too many, and you just want to get this up as quickly as you can. Sounds like a commander goes down on the front. The Hounds are going to be through within 60 seconds he's got before these Hounds start making their way down along this edge of the map. And we can see it looks like we've got some... We've got some agitator that's come up. No, he's gone for the rattlesnake. Oh my lord, I love I Will Conquer. He really just goes crazy with the static defenses. But that push going to come out now, and look at this. We've got ourselves a couple of gremlins coming in as well. Oh, this is starting to get real sneaky. So what's happening over here? Let's take a look. It's going to be what used to be known as penetrators, what are now called starlights. And these things have the ability to absolutely destroy men. And it looks like it's been called out. He may have spotted it on radar, may have spotted it with a tick. You can see he has indeed spotted it with a tick here. So he's looking for those gremlins. He's looking to try and find them. Not going to be able to. Expect him to move into... he could look to go into a camera here. A camera would help him out. So if we take a look here at the construction bot, so just a perimeter camera will definitely help him out. But it looks like these guys are going to come through here, so hopefully he's called that out. But now we're going to see the shift on the front line here. So the penetrator or the starlight is what will turn the tides. The problem is the front has already fallen at 10 minutes, and now you're kind of divided into this part where there's two flanks essentially. And the issue that he's going to have is that if the starlights come up, there's the chance that the hounds go around to this top side. But fortunately, it looks like his pond player has decided to make units. A couple of tigers going to be coming out. I think Bob High might be going down on that front side, but looks like the numbers are sustaining for the moment. Now, the question that everyone is going to be having is, what are these gremlins up to? Where are they at right now? And there, the tracer is coming up. It might be a little bit too late, though. 1 second to go, is just as he's about to expose himself, the tracer comes up. He's like, surprise! And unfortunately, not a huge amount of damage. It looks like the reclaim's going to be happening here. I suspect he might be able to get a chain reaction off it. No, he doesn't. So that's absolutely fine at this point. I can tell you right now, Fruit is absolutely happy with this. He is very happy with this. He's maintained the integrity of his base. He's built his energy converters in a way that didn't chain onto his nanos, which was perfect. So everything's gone well. But now you can see that he is spotting out the gremlin towards the south side. So needs something down. He needs units. Sprinters should be able to deal with this. And you can see them just running straight towards that location. So he is not going to be fussed at all. Oh, he lost it. He lost it, but he's found it. Oh, he's walked right on top of it. Wonderful. So managing to take out the gremlins here. And you can see, I'm not going to try and pronounce the name because I think it's a Welsh name. But it's very close to something else, and I'm not going to say it. But look at this. We've got starlights on the front that have come a little bit too far forward. Not enough of a front line there for them. And if he loses that second front, that starlight, that's going to be massive right there. He can look to res it up. Keep in mind, he does have behind this, he's got his Lazarus back here. But it's going to be tough. He's only got the second wreckage there. And you can see, we can see right here, I promise you, Fruit is one of the most selfish players you'll ever encounter. Won't sell T2. I wouldn't say that. I saw a couple of T2s sold right there, my friend. Look, and as I said, I see Fruit and myself are very similar players, and I agree. I'm a very greedy player. I often let the front fall when I shouldn't, and that's because I go too greedy. Look, there's a couple of reasons why, but the most important one is to remember that the nature of economies in Beyond All Reason, in that it is exponential. Within only 3 minutes, I can double my economy. So it means if I have to make units, and my opposite position is making economy, he's going to have double my economy if I make units for 3 minutes. So that's how I'm always thinking about it. Obviously, you don't want your players to fall, but it looks like we may have a little bit of a breakthrough coming in over on this west side as Smig says, you know what? The front has fallen, and I'm going to take... Oh, this is why. You've got T2 coming through it for 13 minutes. Okay, number one tip for frontliners out there, avoid going into T2 if your front line is not in a decent spot. So he is going to lose his lab. It looks like the D-gun comes through. He does manage to take out all the units, but loses his lab, loses his T2 mechs, but they do clean up the attack. And I still think at this moment, Fruit is absolutely fine. Let's check in with our north side, see how they're doing on this top position as the Riptides are taking over. That is correct. Core on water is surprisingly effective now. Everyone is, now that people have worked out the Destroyer meta, they worked out how to destroy the Destroyer meta, and that's with the Riptide, which is kind of funny because it's this cheaper Destroyer-esque unit from the Core. Only the Core have got access to that style of unit. But down on the South Sea, it looks like we've got arm v arm down here. And Seamaster is making his way out. He's managed to do a pretty decent job. Beautiful reclaim field as well here. How much are we talking about? We're talking about 2,300 metal, which is absolutely lovely. But by the same token, Grim Reapers are out for both of these guys. Meanwhile, back towards the middle, the push is coming, and this is the push I'm talking about from Toxic Fruit. It is beautiful to see. He's got all of these starlights out, and now he's going to go back behind this. He's going to look to reclaim his vehicle plant, but before he does that, he normally likes to get a couple of sneaky gremlins out himself. Let's see if we can spot them. There they are, making their way up the field, but oh, he's making a mistake. He's got 6 of them out, but they're just running to the front line here. unfortunately forgets to cloak them, forgets to send them back here, because ideally you want them cloaked rather than just sacrificing themselves for the greater good. You know what trouble he's going to have, though? He's going to have trouble against that Rattlesnake, and you can see the Rattlesnake is not going to be able to go down. Oh, the Rattlesnake might go down here. Everything is just committing to it. The Bearded Coda trying his best to bring up units as well, and you can see Toxic Fruit now looking to try and get that last shot, but he's got the construction turrets repairing it up. He's taken out so many of these Starlights. What a beautiful way to defend this. Any help mid, asks I Will Conquer. What are you talking about, mate? You don't need any help. You are holding it down here solo, managing to keep that Rattlesnake alive. What an absolute goat right there. And that is just going to Uncloaked Gremlin OP Fruit. Yeah, not going to be the only one who noticed that one. How do I say that? Timoklo? But obviously, all the gremlins are dead now, so he's just saying that to Fruit, like, hey, buddy, all your gremlins died. So normally what we see from here is he looks to reclaim the advanced vehicle plant. He heads into an Aphis after this, which is a very standard play. Normally when you're playing in these kind of flex positions like the Geospot is, one of the big things is you want to attack in waves. You want to, do a big wave, reclaim, build up your economy, then attack in another wave, reclaim that, and then build up behind that. And it can be a bit of a curse as well, because if your enemy does manage to build up a big force and you don't realize and they push and you're halfway through an Aphis, you can be caught with your pants down. It's happened before. It happened to me many a times. But in this game here, I mean, at this point, there's a lot of what the community calls pork. I mean, I just call it static defense here on the front. And this is a great invitation. Normally for me, I'm like, I see this and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to make an EMP launcher. One of the strongest ways to deal with this is with an EMP launcher. So if you're unfamiliar with that, it is this bad boy right here, the Paralyzer. So it's got a huge range on it as well. Take a look at this. So you can see right there the range. If I put it down here, goes all the way to pink space. So that means that if he wants to hit the front, all he needs to do is bring that forward and look to place it down here. And that Paralyzer, all you've got to do is come through and hit this Rattlesnake. That's the first one. Make sure you clear out the Rattlesnake. And then from there, if there's any more behind that, then you can look to EMP that as well. But the perimeter cameras spot out the Gremlins. Smig is going to be finding them, sees them on the edge here, and we can see that there are enemy units. Or rather, no, that's the pink player. There's a couple of mines up here along the edge, and right now we've got Fruit trying to get up along the edge here. He wants to get onto this backline, wants to try and find these Aphis. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. As you guys know, my favorite way to do it is the seaplanes. I'm a big fan of it. It's all about hitting those backline players, but instead Fruit, he's looking to try and make it through. Are these heavy mines? I don't know whether they are. Let's double check. They're only medium mines, but he's been blown to hell and high water. See you later, Fruit. Not going to be happening today. He's been shut down every single way. Now, this is something I often talk about. Why this spot is my favorite spot, why it is the best spot. It is because it is a spot that allows you to go for win conditions. And there were multiple win conditions he looked for here. The first one were the Starlights and pushing through the middle. The second one were the Gremlins. Both of them got shut down. But where does he go to from here? That's going to be the question. Normally, the follow-up is going to be T3 looking for a Marauder attack. But look at this, holding down the middle. We'll zoom out a little bit just so you can get a bit of an idea on these colors. And the Commander goes down. But with that is going to be a whole bunch of enemy units, and the Rattlesnake on the front with 83 kills stands strong, holding on for the North team. I tell you what, I was skeptical about the defense from I Will Conquer early on in this game. But having watched how he has held out for the last 18 minutes, I would feel amazing having him on my front line. This has been an incredible defense from him. Look at the number of nanos he's got. He doesn't even have a lab. I mean, he's got a lab here, but it's probably only... He's just making scouts. That's all he wants. Let's check in with the Seas and see how they're doing. North Sea. Looks like it's been won by Pillow. 31 true skill rating up against 26 true skill of the Kingdom. As you would expect, even a 5 true skill difference can often mean the difference between winning sea and losing sea. And on the south side, we had Tank Destroyer, 38 true skill rating, managing to actually beat back Seamaster here. So he does not come out victorious, which is going to be a huge disadvantage for the North team. There's a couple of avenues that they've still got for victory conditions, but they kind of go out the window here. Most notably, if you want to go for T3, where are you going to be putting it? Let's take a look from the Northern perspective. If I want to go T3 and I want to get it, let's say I want to get a whole bunch of Marauders over to the enemy base. How am I going to do that? Am I going to try and sneak them up around like this? I could try, but there's going to be sonar coverage up there, which means they're going to know. And if they know about the Marauder attack, then that means stilettos. That means that they're going to be able to address that. So that's kind of out of the question. So at the moment for the North team, the main way that they're going to be able to win here is a push through the middle. Look, there's the Marauders. We were just talking about it. There's the Marauders, but it should get scouted out. Unless Tank Destroyer Oh, he doesn't have anything here, and he should. You can see right now, like the correct play here is to have a sonar here, but now I think it's getting pinged out, it's getting spammed out. The Marauders, you can see multiple cursors over this position. They will become aware of it. As a response, it looks like the reclaim is going to be coming through now. The advanced geothermal power plant will get reclaimed. He knows it's going to be the target as his opponent begins making his way down. Looks like a couple of Jaguars pushing down towards this geo position. So this is going to be coming out from Lamacha, who is going to be the pond position. So he's doing some pretty decent... actually, no, I take that back. It is from the enemy eco player. So it looks like Jadz has gone straight into T3. So he's doing a really good job so far, cleaning this up. A couple of Pop-Tarts going to be coming up, aka the Pitbull. You got to hit it. You got to hit the Pitbull. It's question marking. Get it up. Double Pop-Tart. Looks like he's going to be able to do some decent damage with the bombs. But if he gets onto the other side, the Pop-Tart's not going to be able to reach the Aphis on the backside. He needs to get stilettos out right now. Where are the stilettos? All of the energy converters going to be going down. If he hits the Aphis, it's going to be game for Fruit, and indeed it was. And there you see the power of going into that one Aphis timing coming out right now from Jadz, doing a really decent job there. So I'm pretty confident he went one Aphis into the T3, and now he's followed up with a second Aphis. You can see him just building the advanced energy converters, doing a great job to split them up as well. Really important that we do this. We want to avoid that. We want to avoid this happening. Now, one of the things about Fruit is, whenever I watch Fruit, he never gives up. He never surrenders. He will always play. And one of the big things to note is he has still got an advanced fusion reactor wreckage here. So he might not be as dead as you think. So as long as his allies can help him out. So right now, what does he need? He needs some wins. So I'd just give him a whole bunch of wins. I'd give him a whole bunch of Lazarus and just say, all right, you do that, slowly trickle him a constructor, 2 constructors, 3 constructors. Let's compare what's going on, because the front line looks like it might be in a bit of trouble, but we do have T3 coming out from Katsuyo right now. Let's take a look and see how the back lines are doing. So on the south, it looks like our eco player Katsuyo went for this position. Interesting base building, I'll say that much. Not really a fan of this style, but that's because I've got Obsessive Compulsive Destroyer, as I looked at Tank Destroyer's name. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. It is a bit of a destroyer as well. Our air player is doing relatively well, not yet on the Aphis, but is on T2. We can see him reclaiming, and he's got the double fusion, which is pretty decent. He'll be heading into Aphis shortly after this. We can see he's got plenty of metal in the bank. And let's check in over on the north side, though. So we've got triple Aphis coming up, not to mention the experimental gantry. So that is equivalent right there to an Aphis in metal. So that is very nice. And our air player, T-Spoon, coming in here with a double Aphis already. So well and truly ahead. So this is going to be a good game, I'm going to say right now, because we've got double C that has been taken by the south side, but they've lost their Geo player. And on top of that, their backline is a lot less progressed than the economies of the North team. So what do the North team have going for them? They've got their fronts going for them, that is for sure. They're not going to be losing their front anytime soon, I can tell you what. With I Will Conquer on the front line right now, you do not have to be worried. Now let's talk a little bit about some interesting things we're seeing out of him as well. A cloakable fusion reactor. Really nice play here. One of the things to note is that Tank Destroyer should be looking to clean out everything within this bay. And he's not. And I'm kind of disappointed because at True Skill 38, I would expect that from him. I would expect missile ships coming out shortly if we haven't got them already. He's already got naval advanced metal extractors. So there's the missile ships finally coming out now. So expecting him to look to try and take out, most importantly, I Will Conquer, and then look to try and take out the pond play. But we got a T3 push coming in, a Resign already, but the backline was so strong. But I think he just went for one Aphis too many. And now what's going on? He's not even doing anything. He's got metal that's floating, but it looks like the T3 for the south side might be enough to push it over. You can see there was a decent attack coming out from that north team onto Fruit, but unfortunately, it looks like that might be the game here as the T3 rolls in. Lamacha coming in, he's not cloaked. He's not cloaked. You got to cloak it, otherwise you're going to lose the comm. You're not going to be able to take out the Razorback. He's going to look to avoid you, and finally the cloak comes in, but it may be too little, too late. He's heading towards that Geo spot. If he can look to take it out, he may be able to even up the positions. 35 versus 37k. You can see that I Will Conquer is the one that's doing it, and I will say right now, I've noticed him in a lot of games that he plays. He seems to be the kind of guy that once he dies, he wants the game to finish. He's sick of it. He doesn't care about the state of the game. He cares about himself, and I respect that, but at the end of the day, if you want to try and win these games, and we can see big explosions coming through right now, attacks on every single front over on this left side. Lechonidas, a little bit of a slow reaction here to the T3 in the back of his base, and we got people starting to leave right now. Who's leaving? Meanwhile, counterattacks over on the C, And perhaps I've misread the situation. Perhaps I thought it was a little bit better for this North team. Their backline not yet coming online. The air player, of course, still yet to really pay too much attention here. We can hear Shurikens out. Hasn't asked for the Arm T2, so we don't see any stilettos looking to come down on these Razorbacks. Definitely struggling quite a bit here. Gets the commander on the D-gun. Teaspoon needs to move forward for the D-gun. Needs to make sure that he cloaks here as well. Still, I genuinely think the North team is still in this game by an absolute country mile here. The key is going to be keeping the mental together. As long as the D-gun comes out, there's the 1, there's the 2. Easy cleanup. Don't be fussed about it. Keep your mental together on the North team. That's what's important. Why did I get 2 APHIS before air? Says Bob. That's our the Brown player? It's this guy here, I guess? I'm not sure. I think he's just pointing out the fact that he's dead, and he doesn't like being dead. All right, let's check in. We've got more people leaving. Oh no, it's terrible from the North team. Oh, they're still look at the economies. I mean, the state of the game's not the best. They've lost water. But they're still in the game, and that's the thing to note. You can still retreat back. There's still win conditions that you have on this map. You can still take back water. That's one of the big things that people forget. Hovers exist in this game, and they're wonderful when you want to try and take back water, because one of the big things that happens in this game at this point right here is that Tank Destroyer normally stops making military and will start thinking about his economy. As we've seen back here, he's gone into 3 APHIS, which is damn well impressive that he's 3 APHIS 26 minutes in and still has so much out on the water here. And one of the things is this can be countered by just going mass hovers. Meanwhile, back here, we've only got the 1 APHIS for Seamaster, so he's definitely having a little bit of trouble. Looks like he has gone into T3 himself, but a bit of a mistake, and I will say an oversight from Jadst here. Even though he had a beautiful push earlier on, he's unfortunately put his APHIS in a position which is going to be exposed. In fact, everything here is exposed. So this is something you've always got to be aware of, and you've always got to be looking out for. If you're playing on this pond position, you've got to be so careful about building your economy in this area. You may have a fortunate game where your teammate does win the water, but it is likely they will lose the water. If I had to give a chance to which team wins this water here, I would say that the Long Beach here has a chance of about 65% to win the water, whereas the long run with the short beach is much closer to about 35% chance of winning the water. So always be very careful about that and just positioning your economy, because now it means that you're going to be on one less base, and it's only going to be a matter of time until that gets scattered out, until he knows where to target, because you can see he's kind of playing in the dark right now. If we ride on board with, yeah, you can see he's actually just retreated and says, you know what, okay, fine, here we go. Looks like we've got some air going to be coming in. That should be enough to scout out, and you can see that I suspect Tank Destroyer may turn around and be like, oh, an APHIS. Yeah, I guess I will take that out. Don't mind me, guys. All right. So, if you're playing on the North team, how do you come back into this game? That's the question that you want to ask yourself. And the answer is you need to find a way to even the scales. You've managed to take out one of their best players, or their best player, Fruit, but he's going to come back into this game. We know that. We can see that. So how do you do that? Now, I would advocate, if you're playing from this C position here, I'd want to go into hovers. I would want to look to recontest this water and just go mass hovers. I'm talking like 100+ hovers. And you can see that he's, is he floating? Look at, he is floating a fair bit of metal right here. 248 metal coming in per second right now for Tank Destroyer. He's got an economy and a half out here. So my answer to that question is air. I think both backline players need to go into air, and that's actually what we see happening right now, which is definitely the correct play. If they can double up on the air, think about this for a second, okay? Let's say they double up on the air. How many Hurricanes are we talking? 50 Hurricanes! You just need 10. 10 is enough to kill one person. You hit the APHIS, baby, it's all over Red Rover. So, as long as you've got that air superiority, you're going to be fine. And you just come through. Okay, let's see how he controls this, because if there's a way to get back into this game, it's going to be through that. It's going to be a tough time. You're up against some big T3 on the front, so as long as there's a commander ready to D-gun, I don't see any commander on this south side. Yeah, there's nothing out here, so he might have to pull a commander from the back line, but there's only got 2 left. Big air attack coming through right now. Hurricanes on the back line, probably going to get focused down. Needs to make sure he brings his air back to cover, but you can see the air numbers coming out pretty decently from his opponent. A little bit too heavy on the Hurricanes, I might say, and not heavy enough on the anti-air. Second APHIS might get shut down here. He's got to be careful not to do it when all of his units are over the top, and now begins to make his way up towards that backline. If he can hit the APHISes here, he may be able to cause a chain reaction. Begins to come through. It looks like the bird shot has come up. He's going to look to focus down. Only one of them makes it. Manages to hit a fair bit of it, but I'm going to be honest. it wasn't the best bombing run. Way too many bombers and not enough. So ideally in that situation, you want about 20 bombers, 2 groups of 10. And then you want a whole bunch of fighters. You want air superiority, and then you're just going from base to base, killing them, and ideally you just want to hit an APHIS. You hit an APHIS, that's fine. I'll sacrifice my 10 bombers for your APHIS, for your base. But that's going to be a good game. It was a solid attempt from the North team, but unfortunately at the end of the day, when 2 Cs go the way of the enemy, it is very difficult, because you've got to remember, right, when you lose C, not only are you now being attacked from all these positions. Let's see if I can stay in this game a little bit longer here. I got to make sure that I'm not in the lobby. How do I get to the lobby without quitting? Because I want to stay in the game, but anyway, I'm probably going to get pinged or ringed because I was in queue to play. So if you lose C, now all of a sudden, everything's under attack. Let's see if I can turn this off. Control click. I can't draw? Okay, never mind. I can't draw. So you're getting attacked here on C. You're getting attacked here. You're losing out on your geo. You've lost all this. But that's not it. You've also lost an avenue to attack. You've lost an avenue to hit with hovers. You've lost an avenue to hit with any kind of aggression through down here with marauders. So there's a big element that you're losing out on. Not on top of that, you're also potentially losing out on the front as well, a huge amount, because now all of a sudden, if you've got missile cruisers attacking you, you've built up all this static defense, and all of a sudden it's dead. Not to mention when eventually not the battleship, but rather the flagship comes out. And the fact that you've lost 2 Cs now just limits your response on this map in particular, and it really just shuts you down. So that's going to be it. We'll wrap it up there. Let's just take a look at the graphs at the end. Let's have a look at the metal produced. So it looks pretty even between the backliners. Energy produced a little bit ahead. We've actually, that's not the backliners. That's our C in the north. So he's got an absolute kicker of an economy. Pillow just going ham with 180k metal right there. You can see the power of the C right there. At the same time, Tank Destroyer 156k. So even getting a bigger, both of the C players having a bigger eco than the eco player himself, which is impressive. On the other side though, Jad's maxing out. But that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll leave it there and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.